Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, my name is Monika Agnes Henny Kinanti. I am from Sebelas Maret University, Indonesia. I want to present about student numeracy cognitive process in solving I-CMME questions. There are 4 sections in this presentation. First, introduction. Second, research method. Third, result and discussion. And the last, conclusion. Let's begin with introduction. People often think of literacy as the ability to read. The government urges the Indonesian people to master 6 basic literacy based on the Ministry of Education and Culture, namely language literacy, numeracy literacy, scientific literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy, and civic literacy. Based on the 2018 PISA results, Indonesia is ranked 74 out of 79 participating countries, with a score of 379 in mathematics. This shows that the numeracy literacy skills of Indonesian students still need to be improved. The results of the PISA above become a problem, so that the government seeks to overcome these problems. Efforts made by the Indonesian government to improve students' numeracy skills are through the Minimum Competency Assessment, or I-CMME. The I-CMME includes an assessment of reading and numeracy literacy. Numeration is not only a student's ability to count, but also a student's ability to apply the concept of counting in daily context. Based on the results of the I-CMME 2021, the achievement of learning outcomes for numeracy skills nationally shows that it is still below the minimum competency with an average value of 1.65, meaning that more than 50% of students have not reached the minimum competency limit for numeracy. Numerical ability is referred to as the ability to understand and use mathematics in various contexts, with the aim of being able to solve problems and be able to explain information to others using mathematics. Based on the I-CMME 2021, the categories of numeracy context are personal, sociocultural, and scientific. The domain or content of numeracy in I-CMME includes number, geometry and measurement, algebra, and data and uncertainty. The cognitive level of numeracy is divided into 3 levels: level 1 knowing, level 2 applying, and level 3 reasoning. The result of the 2021 I-CMME show the average achievement of numeracy skills nationally in reasoning competence of 54.72, higher than the knowing competence 54.65 and applying competence 50.9. Problem solving can be understood as a cognitive process where students know facts, processes, concepts, procedures, then students apply that knowledge to solve problems in the context of real situation. Based on this understanding, the cognitive level of reasoning may be influenced by previous cognitive process, namely knowing and applying. Academically, the percentage of level 3 should be less than level 2 and level 1. The study aims to analyze the cognitive processes of student numeracy in solving I-CMME questions related to algebra content. This numerical cognitive process analysis really needs to be done in order to improve the quality of education in Indonesia. Next, research method. The researcher used approach with qualitative with case study design. The instrument a main researcher supporting unstructured review, numeracy task with technique think aloud and unstructured review. For data with snowball sampling, validation with source triangulation, and after all data has been collected, the stage of analysis using a process of inductive data analysis. It processes from data to theory or interpretation as the inquirer reduces and reconstructs the data through the processes of coding and categorization. The research aims at interpreting the phenomena being observed. Next, result and discussion. The numeration question consists of one of stimulus, and there are 3 questions with different cognitive levels. The description of the cognitive level on the question with the context of the show building above is presented in this table. Level 1 with the description, this, level 2, and level 3. In cognitive process, at first level, 3 out of 4 students were able to identify the pattern of numbers formed, but the solution was done manually by sorting the number of seats in each row. This shows that students do not understand how to use formulas. In fact, when students understand the use of formulas well, of course, it will be greatly facilitated when faced with more complicated questions that will be difficult to do manually. As many as 4 out of 7 students could not mention the definition of number patterns, so they had difficulty solving problems, which in this case identify number patterns. This shows that if students already understand the concept, when students are faced with simple questions that are not routine, students can still apply the concept to solve a problem. Next, student cognitive process at second level. 3 of 7 students who had identified the number pattern manually up to the nth row were able to develop strategies to determine the number of the last 3 rows of seats. Of the 3 students, 1 of them experienced an error doing calculation. This shows the calculation errors made by students in determining the number of seats in the last 3 rows were caused by students being in a hurry and not being careful, so the final result obtained were less precise. Next, student cognitive process at third level. In the first statement, 1 of the 7 students answered the first question is wrong. The student did the sum of the first row of seats to the nth row of seats first, but manually by adding up the seats in each row. Besides that, students do not understand the concept of comparing numbers. This shows that students are able to relate to the knowledge gained and do justification, even though it cannot be said to be fully a reasoning process. In the second statement, 1 out of 7 students answered the question is wrong. Students do not write down the reason when working as shown in the figure, so the reason is asked during the interview. This shows that students already understand the concept of multiplication. Last, conclusion, based on the result of the research data, it can be concluded that the cognitive level of knowing 3 out of 7 grade 8 students from one of the junior high school in Karanganyar Regency are able to state the definition of number patterns and identify that are formed manually. At the cognitive level of applying, 2 out of 7 students were able to formulate a strategy to determine the number of the last 3 rows of seats, and at the cognitive level of reasoning, 1 out of the 7 students had linked it with the knowledge gained and justified it, even though it could not be said to be a fully reasoning process in solving I-CMME question on algebra content. This is the end of the section. Thank you for your attention. Good morning and have a nice day.